This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. It's the largest, fastest fiber-powered network for small business, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. That's reliability, security, and savings in one. Switch today. Get started with a great offer as low as $60 a month. No one does business like Comcast Business.
Offer ends 6/1/26. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet and security edge. 1-year agreement, eco-bill, and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
The sun is out, the birds are chirping, and the open road is calling. Bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event and take that road trip you've been dreaming of. Now's the time to check out the Honda Civic and HR-V from Honda, the 2025 Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com Best Value Brand.
Based on 2025 Consumer Choice Awards from Kelley Blue Book, visit kbb.com for more information.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kilowatt, a podcast about electric vehicles, renewable energy, autonomous driving, and much, much more. My name is Bodie, and I am your host. And on today's episode, we have news. It's going to be a shorter episode than it was than the last episode, but we still got some news. Before we get to the news, we have a little bit of clarification. A few weeks ago, Joe gave us some really good information on like battery tips. And those battery tips were specifically for nickel manganese cobalt batteries, or NMC batteries. With the LFP batteries, he says, the caveat I need to put in there is that LFP batteries often do in fact need 100% charge cycles in order to accurately predict range. Technically, that holds true to some extent for all batteries, but not a health thing. It's a usability thing as far as that calibration goes. So there is Joe's update on that. Thank you, Joe, very much for the clarification. And let's go ahead and jump into the news. Starting off, Jeep is not going to be building the 2026 version of the Wagoneer SEV in the United States for 2026. There's not going to be a 2026 model. I'm sure you could still pick up a 2025 model. But one of the reasons why they're not going to build the 2026 model is just picture this. Jeep sold 10,864 Wagoneer EVs in 2025. Sorry, losing my voice. In 2026, we're still in the 2025 model year, but in 2026, they only sold 175 Wagoneer EVs in the entire first quarter. So not a high demand vehicle. It may even be that there's still a lot of Wagoneer S EVs in inventory. So for 2026, we're not going to get a model year 2026 Wagoneer S, but it is expected to come back in 2027. All right. A report from Crane's Detroit Business, which is, I'm guessing, an industry outlet, automotive industry outlet, they're claiming that GM is suspending their next-gen electric trucks and SUVs, and they're saying that GM will be suspending them indefinitely. Now, to be clear, that doesn't include their current gen vehicles. That's just their next gen. So according to Crane's Detroit Business, GM was set to do a big update in 2028 for the Silverado EV, the GMC Sierra EV, the Hummer EV, and the Cadillac Escalade IQ. So not sure what's going to happen with these current generations if this report is true, but it sounds like the next generation, again, if the report is true, is, I don't know, it's not a great sign if true. GM says that when asked for comment, that they do not disclose any potential plans or timing for any next generation battery electric trucks, and it will not engage in speculation. As always, we will cover GM's earnings call for Q1 2026, and hopefully an analyst will ask a question about this move, whether or not it's true or if they can add any color. And I apologize, but my my voice is going. I was at a track meet this evening, and I didn't really yell that much, but my voice is going. So let's try to get through this. BYD's new Blade batteries, we've talked about this, the Blade 2.0 batteries, will charge from 10% to 97% in less than 10 minutes, which is, very impressive as long as you're on the right charger. You don't get that for just being on a regular supercharger. You need their flash charger, which is a 1.5 megawatt charger. But CATL has just introduced the third generation Shenzheng LFP battery, and it will charge from 10% to 98% in 6 minutes, according to CATL. And it's actually 6.5 minutes. But there's about a 3-minute improvement in CATL's battery in terms of, the charging speed when you compare it to BYD. Both are still very fast. Both are still very impressive. Now, CATL broke it down in a really cool way here. If you are at 10% and you need to get to 35% charge, you can do that in 1 minute, which is very impressive if for some reason you just need to dip in and dip out. But if you can stay for 3 minutes and 44 seconds, you can charge from 10% to 80%. So in less than 5 minutes, you can pretty much get what you need in your battery to get back on the road, which is super impressive. That might actually be faster than filling your car with the equivalent amount of gas. I don't know. We'd have to time it to see. The other thing that I think is really cool here is that when it's really cold outside, I mean, like really cold, CATL says at negative 30 degrees Celsius or negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll charge from 20 to 98% in as little as 9 minutes. So if it's super cold outside and that battery is, batteries don't like the cold. They like it to be warm for them to accept a fast charge. You can do that in as little as 9 minutes. Now, the phrasing as little as 9 minutes makes me think that that they were able to do it in as little as 9 minutes sometimes, but it was a higher number than 9 minutes other times. So, if you see that number is in 9 minutes that they can do this in, 30 degrees Celsius weather, sometimes they can do that. I don't think that's every single time. But they use this really cool self-heating technology. They call it pulse. I think it's pulse technology. But what it is, this is directly off of CATL's website. They create a weak short circuit between the battery and the electric motor, and by adjusting the electric motor control, the battery is quickly warmed up by the pulse current that forms in the high voltage loop. It saves up to 2/3 of the heating time compared to the conventional approach. They're actually able to warm the battery up 6 degrees Celsius per minute. So that's pretty impressive.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary. easy.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
O'Reilly! Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Okie doke. That is our EV news. Before we move on to our Tesla news, just want to let everybody know, again, we have a Patreon. We have a Supercast. If you want to support the show, you can go to supportkilowatt.com. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I will spare you the pitch, but if you want to support the show, all the money goes back into the show. Just go to supportkilowatt.com and you will see both ways to support the show there. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to our Tesla news. Tesla is hiring full self-driving vehicle operators in 9 new countries. So let's start off with Asia. They're hiring in Seoul, Korea, Kowloon, Hong Kong, Bangkok, Thailand, and Mumbai, India. In the Middle East, we are looking at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Istanbul, Turkey. And then in Europe, Vienna, Austria. Oh man, I'm going to butcher these next two. Vilnius, Lithuania, and Voluntary, Romania. So yeah, 9 new countries. That's pretty cool. If you don't know, a vehicle operator, they basically drive Tesla-owned vehicles around and they test FSD for each location. That's effectively their job. And then also, I happen to know some Romanians, and man, do those folks have stories. They have lots of stories. A lot of fun to hang out with. Anyway, moving on to our next story. Tesla is looking to build 2 private supercharger stations in Arizona. Take that, Austin. And San Francisco, although they did try to do this in San Francisco, and right before the planning committee meeting, they pulled their permit and they said, no, we don't want to do that anymore. So yes, so they're looking to build 2 private supercharger stations right here in AZ, just miles from my house. This will be the first supercharger stations specifically for their robotaxi service, meaning they're not open to the public. The plans were submitted to Chandler, Arizona, which is a city in the East Valley, and Mesa, Arizona, which is a little bit further east. Both fairly decent-sized cities. I don't have a lot of information on what they were asking to build especially in Mesa. I have no information, but in Chandler, what we do know is they're asking for 56 V4 stalls. So they're going to be building 56 version 4 superchargers. And I would imagine that Mesa is going to be somewhere close to the same in terms of size. That is nutty. Like, there are certainly planning to have a lot of robotaxis in this area if they're wanting to put, we'll just say conservatively, 56 stalls in. So yeah, we will keep an eye on this story. Okay, and that brings us to our final story. I actually thought this was going to take longer to get through, but we are burning through it. Okay, so let's look at the newest National Highway Traffic Safety Administration report on self-driving cars. So we're just going to kind of hit this at a high level. I mean, there's more information, obviously, that goes into this, but I'm trying to make this easy to digest over a podcast. So looking just at the numbers and crashes, Waymo reported 697 crashes total. AV Ride reported 41 crashes. Zoox reported 32 crashes, and Tesla reported 18. So why such a big discrepancy between the numbers? Well, it really comes down to fleet size. So Waymo has, thousands of cars driving millions of miles across varying locations, and Tesla and Zoox, and I don't know where AV Ride is entirely, but they're just not that big. And then it is important to kind of mention here that the data set does not include FSD supervised. So what you and I can buy for the Tesla, it isn't included in this data. This is only for the unsupervised level 4 autonomous vehicle, aka robotaxi. None of the FSD level 2 stuff is in this report. All right, let me see here. So there is a little bit of a transparency gap when it comes to how the crashes are reported. So, for example, Waymo and Zoox, when a vehicle crashes, they explained exactly what happened. And we're talking about like multiple paragraphs that you can go in and read. They detail the lane changes, the intersection behavior, the actions of the human drivers, where people wearing seatbelts. It just goes on and on and on, which is really helpful. And then Tesla, they redact their reports. So when you look in the description area, it just says redacted may contain confidential business information, and that's it. They don't put anything else in there. And here's my problem with that, if I'm being honest. I think if you're going to, as a company, going to be testing on these roads, this information should be available for everybody to view. As we're going to talk about in just a moment, these vehicles are getting into minor accidents. If there's injuries, they're minor injuries. They're not even that big of a deal. So what's the reason to redact the information? If companies like Waymo and Zoox can actually provide paragraphs on what was going on, there's no reason why Tesla can't. And they owe it to the public, because they are testing on public streets, to be as transparent as possible. And honestly, this isn't being transparent at all. So I don't really dig that. Tesla might experience some negative press depending on what, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. But if there was somebody out there who was going to speculate, not me, but if there was somebody out there who was going to, willing to speculate on this, again, not me, I would guess that they would speculate that maybe somebody in the C-suite makes promises that are maybe not 100% achievable, even though what they're doing is amazing. It doesn't, what the cars are doing doesn't always match up with the narrative that's being given. So maybe that's why they redact it. I don't know. I mean, that person that is speculating that, I don't really agree with them 100%. But, that's what they're speculating. And again, not me, just them. Okay? All right. So let's talk about accidents. So when a Waymo crashes, it tends to be in heavy traffic, and it tends to involve other cars. Again, Waymo's in a lot more places than those other companies that we mentioned. Of the 697 incidents, 613 of them were only property damage, so no injuries reported. when it comes to injuries, all of the injuries, as far as I know, were minor, but 23 incidents required hospitalization. Now, here's what's I'm going to caution us on here. When we see required hospitalization, we need to be very careful because one, unless somebody is unconscious or altered in some way, you are not required to ever go to the hospital. If you're unconscious, we assume that you would want to go to the hospital and be treated. Or if you're altered in some way, if you have low blood sugar, you're inebriated, or you have something else going on that makes you altered, we would assume that you would want to go to the hospital. But if you're in your right frame of mind and you have your leg dangling off, or maybe even you're missing it entirely, and you say, I don't want to go to the hospital, we don't take you to the hospital. There are very few incidents where you're required to go to the hospital. Now, I don't think that that's what they mean in this case, but the way that they're putting this, it makes it feel to me like the incident was bad enough for the person to go to the hospital. That isn't the case either. We are not in the habit of declining people's right if people want to go to the hospital. So if somebody's in a minor accident, there's no damage to either vehicle, and this has happened before. No damage to either vehicle, and somebody says they want to go to the hospital, we take them to the hospital. Did that require hospitalization? Probably not, but we took them. So that's because it was their choice. So that is, we got to be careful. Just because somebody went to the ER does not mean that they were required to go to the ER, or maybe even they met the status or the maybe they just went to the hospital because they wanted to be sure. They wanted to just kind of double check, and that's okay. We do that all the time. Also, when I see required hospitalization, that also means to me, when I read that, it means to me that this person needed to stay at least one night at the hospital. In even serious car accidents, I mean, not like super serious car accidents, but even in serious car accidents where somebody might have maybe a slight concussion or something like that, people are generally out within a few hours. They don't usually get admitted to the actual hospital. They're usually at the ER, and then they get treated and moved on. So yeah, so there's that as well. The way that it's written to me sounds worse than it probably is what I'm saying. So let's see, 51 incidents were minor injuries but required no hospital visit. Again, the required thing, I mean, if somebody's leg is falling off, like I have literally run on a gentleman who was shot in the leg. He didn't shoot himself. Somebody else shot him. Not only did he not talk to the cops, he also did not want to go to the hospital. He said he'd take care of himself. And he needed to go. He had a bullet hole went through the outside of his thigh, and it traveled through and probably hit his femur somewhere in there. And then there was an exit wound. So yeah, I mean, he needed to go to the hospital, but he didn't want to. So we didn't take him. He wouldn't even let us take his blood pressure. So anyway, let's move on to Tesla. So when Tesla had reported incidents, it was more often that they hit some sort of stationary object. Some of the things listed were curbs, poles, cyclist, animal, a bus. For all 18 of Tesla's crashes, the FSD unsupervised, the level 4, was activated. But yeah, overall, I don't think these numbers are awful. Like it's never fun to be in an accident. As a matter of fact, today when I was coming home from my kids' track meet, I was driving alongside of a lady, and older lady, and she was sitting super close to the steering wheel, And I could see, because it was getting dark, I could see her phone. And she had her phone not off to the side, like directly in front of her face. And she had two hands on her phone while she was driving. In that situation, I would much rather have her in an autonomous vehicle like a Waymo or a Tesla, even if there's a risk of them getting into a minor accident, because that lady's probably going to get into more than a minor accident. I mean, she could literally blow through a crosswalk and take somebody out. Now, could a Waymo do that? Yeah, sure. But it's more likely that she's going to do it. And it was at least a mile. I followed her for at least a mile. I didn't honk at her because I didn't want to startle her, but I did try to make her feel uncomfortable. But she didn't. She was just in the phone. And like when I say in the phone, like two hands on the phone, pinch to zoom, that whole thing. I don't know what she was doing. And I probably shouldn't have been paying that much attention to her, but I also didn't want to get in front of her and then have her hit me. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll take the minor accidents over what that lady was doing is really what I'm saying here. Okay, everybody, that is it for today. It's like 11 o'clock on Tuesday. So I recorded this on Tuesday. I'm going to release it on Wednesday morning. And then on Friday's show, we will have Tesla's Q1 2026 earnings call. So I hope everybody had a great weekend. And I hope you have an amazing week. And if you want to email me, it's Bodie, BODIE at 918digital.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. If you just search Bodie Grimm, it's BODIEGRIMM. And I'm gonna end this before my voice goes. I feel like I kind of got some of it back, but it's I'm losing it again. So thanks everybody, and I will talk to you soon.
General Assembly's AI training courses help you or your team develop the skills to confidently use AI at work and thrive in the AI era. Get $50 off any General Assembly workshop with code SERIOUS50. Start now at ga.co/SiriusXM. That's ga.co/SiriusXM.
Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. It's the largest, fastest fiber-powered network for small business, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. That's reliability, security, and savings in one. Switch today. Get started with a great offer as low as $60 a month. No one does business like Comcast Business.
Offer ends 6/1/26. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet and security edge. 1-year agreement, eco-bill, and auto-pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
The sun is out, the birds are chirping, and the open road is calling. Bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event and take that road trip you've been dreaming of. Now's the time to check out the Honda Civic and HR-V from Honda, the 2025 Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com Best Value Brand.
Based on 2025 Consumer Choice Awards from Kelley Blue Book, visit kbb.com for more information.
On any journey using Uber, it helps to know you're getting into the right car. PIN verification adds an extra step to make sure your ride is your ride. Before the trip begins, your app gives you a unique PIN. Just tell it to your driver, and they'll enter it in their app before the ride can start.
Hey, what's your PIN?
2538.
That way, you know you're in the right car taking the right trip, and your driver knows you're the right passenger. Make sure your ride is your ride with PIN verification from Uber. One more way Uber is putting safety at every turn. Learn more on the Uber app.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.